Okay, let me start again. So yesterday was thrift storing day, Lowe's day. We got our mesh screening material, aluminum screen, 48 inches by 84 inches for like $11. I also paid about $5 for these 4-inch outdoor cable ties. They didn't have the small ones in green, which I prefer. The green ones were pretty wide and pretty long. So it's time to cut open the screen. We're gonna tape this whole project. The central theme has been $0. So there's probably some duct tape downstairs, but I found this painting tape. You know, you use it to tape around what you don't want the paint to touch. It's not as strong of an adhesive as the duct tape is, but this is just temporary. I found a board that's about the right size for what I want as far as the heart moss centerpiece with the velvet moss. So I just want this leaf and lawn bag to not really move when we put the screen over it and start adhering moss to it. I don't want to put moss on top of the wood because I have to continually moisturize the moss to keep it gorgeous and green. And I don't want my wood getting wet for obvious reasons. So this is the one leaf and lawn size bag that I happen to have in the house right now. So I'm just like lying by the seat of my pants here. And you know, that's the whole thing about trying something new. Like, you can make mistakes. Who was that painter? Was his name Bob Ross or something like that? We don't make mistakes, we have happy accidents. It's all in the name of learning. I'm not an expert, and I probably should have watched a ton of YouTubes on building a moss wall. And I probably will. And then I'll undo everything I've done and redo it. And that's the beauty. The wedding is in March, and this is mid-February. So instead of laying in bed at night dreaming about how this is gonna work out, I decided to just jump in today, even though I don't have everything perfect. I don't have all my supplies. I don't have it all figured out. The marsh moss, which is probably technically thread moss. It's very sturdy and it's coming together and sticking together really nice. It's weightless and I'm not gonna have any issues. I don't expect any issues with it to stand straight up on a board on a huge moss wall. It's the heart centerpiece with the velvet moss that I have a little concern with because it can be a little floppy and delicate. It's a bit fragile, and I just don't want the heart to fall out of the centerpiece during the wedding. I don't think that'll send a good message to the bride and groom. It's not gonna be like super wonderful if that happens. So yeah, we don't want any mishaps. So let's figure out, I know craft stores have the mesh materials. I've heard it's cheaper at Lowe's and Home Depot and that sort of thing. So that's what we did. I have 0 fingernails, so I don't have those as a tool. I have a feeling that I will be back for more of this because think about it, a moss wall. And you're attaching all of the moss to a screening material, and then the screen attaches to a wood plank. Oh, look at that. Woo! A wood, a board. And then the board gets nailed onto a pallet. So obviously this is like way longer than my centerpiece. This will be good for the pallets though. So for this first piece, because we really need to get it going, I am going to have to trim it, obviously. And I don't want a whole lot of it. Ouch. That's why they call it aluminum, Kelly, because aluminum is a metal. And you kind of don't want to like slice your finger open with that metal, you know what I'm saying? So some people would probably use an X-Acto or some kind of a box cutter with a blade. Kelly uses her kitchen shears. That's what she does. Not to be confused with her office shears, right? These are heavy duty. Okay. So which is which? I mean, they seem almost equal at this point. Yeah, we'll be needing more of that. All right. So that, we're gonna cut, I don't really care to wrap it. Think about this. Yeah, it's gonna be tacked down to the wood. We are not keeping the moss on the plastic indefinitely, obviously. We don't want all that to show through. So for now, we just want the moss to get situated on the screen and come together in unity of the brethren, moss, to form a heart and to celebrate love of 2 gorgeous people. Amazing. What kind of a bride tells her groom, honey, I want moss, not just at my wedding, I want it in my wedding. Like, oh, that's my kind of bride. So we are going to find a way to secure this deadly, dangerous, pointy, prickly screen on top of the plastic, but not permanently, because we're actually gonna need to probably use those zip ties to actually sew the moss into the screen. Yes, you're pointy, and every time I touch you, I'm reminded that you're pointy and that you are an inanimate object and you change not. I am the screen for your moss and I change not. All right, so getting in a hurry. It just kind of doesn't want to lay flat. I think it's kind of heavy duty, which in one respect is a good thing. In another, oh, I know why it's not working out, because I need a heart shape, kind of a guide to go by. So let's do this. Set it aside. Now, somebody needs to like sweep the floor. I don't know who does that around here, but they need to get busy. So if we're making kind of a heart guide, I want it to really fill up. This will not be attached to the screen. This is going to be under the screen so that I can keep in mind how big I want the heart to be. Which, of course, I want it to like fill the whole, you know, area. But we also have to remember that a heart is a heart. So this tape is just kind of my guide. So coming down here, boom, we want it to go all the way to the edge. This is the first. Now the interesting thing is though, that the moss wall could actually have more than one heart on it. I know for my first time being a wedding moss queen, I probably shouldn't get too ambitious, but it's just so tempting because I have so much velvety moss here. The more the merrier. It's so beautiful. So there is snow and ice coming in volume. And the rest of the velvet moss is out there, covered up in a beautiful blanket of protective leaves. And I think it'll be okay. We're gonna be okay. You see my heart? Doesn't have to be perfect. It's a guide, it's a guide. Let's connect it. So if you think about it, it really doesn't have to be that huge of a piece of screen, because this is really the only section that's going to have moss attached. Okay, I'm really looking forward, you guys, to pulling out the moss and attaching it to the screen, but this part of securing this is proving to be tedious, and I don't want to bore you to death. So I'll tell you what, I will get it figured out, and then I'll come back and we'll sew some moss on, okay? Okay.